All right, Rob, let us get to this because there's plenty of stuff going on. Mike Trout dealing. Now, he has been banged up. You actually mentioned it yesterday, how somebody, I forgot who it was, you were talking with somebody, and they brought up his injuries. Or was it, maybe it was a caller, and they said if it was.
Yes, that was on Trash Talking yesterday.
Right, yes. That's right. In another sport, or maybe it was another
that
player.
He gets a pass, right?
Yeah.
That people never kind of come down on him. He's always been hurt lately.
He's been banged up a lot lately. 36 games last year, and now he has what they're saying is it's a trainer saying it's a rare back condition, a spinal condition that he may have to deal with for the rest of his career, Rob. And it led to kind of his injury where he's out now. It kind of made his ribs inflamed, right? Rib cage inflammation due to the back, though. Now he's saying he's fine. He's saying his career is not over, and I don't think it's over.
I don't think anybody projected that.
Right. But that he said that. But here's what the trainer said. This is a pretty rare condition that he has right now in his back. The doctor, who's Robert Watkins III, who is one of the most well-known spine surgeons in the country, if not the world, doesn't see a lot of these. He says, and for it to happen to a baseball player, we just have to take into consideration what he puts himself through with hitting, swinging on a daily basis just to get prepared. And then also playing in the outfield, diving for balls, jumping into the wall, things like that. There's so many things that can aggravate it, but this doctor hasn't seen a lot of it. So before we go, here's Trout. I got back and my phone was blowing up. My career is over. It's just rare for a baseball player. I just have to stay on top of it. So I don't know, Rob. I don't like that news. I got to be honest.
No. Not when it's rare and it doesn't happen often. But I think this is the bigger blow to Mike Trout. No one's saying his career is over. But I think, Chris, with this news and what's going on the last couple of years with him trying to be healthy and whatnot, I think most people will now take him out of that conversation of thinking, A, he's the best player in the game, and B, he'll be the best player in the game when it's all said and done moving forward.
Best player ever.
Because that's what people were saying. You remember they were trying to give him an MVP when Miguel Cabrera had a triple crown, the first one in like 40 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's how much the stat geeks and the analytics people love what Mike Trout does. And he is a tremendous player. But Chris,
he is a great player.
We got to ask ourselves right now, is he even the best player on his team right now? No.
I would say
Would you say Ohtani?
Absolutely. I say Ohtani. I'm with you, Rob. Let's the Mike Trout's the best player ever. It has to
derailed,
stop.
Right? It's derailed right now.
Absolutely. It is absolutely derailed. And I'm going to throw something else out there, Rob. And look, I beat the drum that in baseball, unlike football for quarterbacks,
it's hard.
Unlike basketball for stars, I don't hold, team success or lack thereof against the superstar because it's just too hard, right? Like you can't. I don't care if Shohei Ohtani is doing pitching and hitting,
and they can't.
He can't affect it. Yeah, right. It's just too many other factors in baseball to blame one player. You and I both have said we get the allegations and what actually probably did happen. But Barry Bonds is the best player I've ever seen.
Right. Period.
Best player I've
I'm
ever
with
seen.
you that I've ever seen. Period.
Right. And he doesn't have a ring. And, not a lot of
Chris, and the year that they went to the World Series in 2002 when the Giants lost to the Yankees, I covered that World Series. Go look it up. Barry Bonds hit 500, Chris, and they lost.
Right.
Because the bullpen couldn't hold a lead, right?
Right.
So you look at it and go, what else could Bonds have done? He hit 500 in that World Series.
Right. So I'm on board with that. But I don't know. I'll say this. I just also think maybe I'm contradicting myself. But a little bit of success, not a ring, but but a little bit of success. He's been to the playoffs one time, and that was 8 years ago. A little bit, Rob.
And played in what, 3 playoff games? Wasn't it a 3-game series? I think he's only got 3 playoff games, right?
Can you be the best ever with that limited of a postseason scenario? And again, I get it. I might be wrong. I'm not like getting on my soapbox yelling this from the rooftops. I'm just wondering, like, when we talk about the absolute best ever, I don't think I can go there with him. Not just because of the injuries, and I agree with you there that has to stop right now. But maybe, just not lifting the team in any way to any type of success, Rob.
No, you're right. And I'll give you an example, Chris. Here we go. Ted Williams is one of the greatest hitters who ever swung a bat, right? We all agree with that.
Yep.
The last guy to bat 400 batted .406 in a regular season.
Well, yep.
Okay, 406. Chris, I'm going to give you his postseason stats. You ready? 7 games, Ted Williams hit 200 with 5 hits, 1 RBI, 2 runs scored in 7 post games in his career.
Postseason game.
That's it. Postseason game, Chris. That's it, 7. But in Ted Williams' defense, and you were talking about, you can't always affect it. During his era, there were no playoffs.
Right.
There were 12 teams in the American League, 12 teams in the National League, Chris. And the number 1 team, right, with the best record, there were no divisions.
That was it. They went to the World Series.
That was it. They went straight. So when the Yankees went to the World Series 8 times in 10 years in the 50s, they had the best regular season record.
Right.
There was no postseason.
Right.
And that's why you look at Ted Williams, it's hard to knock him totally when you can't get in. But in the case of Trout, there are wild cards, Chris. There's all kinds of things to get you in the postseason, and he's only been in it once.
Right. And as great as Ted Williams was, Rob, and we all know he's arguably the best hitter ever, right?
Yep, arguably.
Why has his name, you correct me if I'm wrong, you're more of a baseball historian. Why has his name continued to be on our lips despite that lack of postseason success?
I think it's the 406.
406.
Nobody else.
And it wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been that he wasn't a great. It's the 406.
There's no doubt about it.
Just like Oscar Robertson, it was the triple-double, right? It's the 406. That's it. So Trout hasn't done that. Obviously, won't do that. I mean, nobody probably will do that again.
There's legendary, Chris, I could be wrong, and I hate that I'm throwing this out without looking at it. But I think Ted Williams had a chance to sit down so that he wouldn't, like the last, like when he got over.
Right.
And he played.
Yep.
Chris, and he played. Like he could have said, you're over 400, just missed the last 2 games.
Risking dropping it. Yeah,
and didn't do it.
Bad games.
Right,
yep.
And still played. And people have respect for that he didn't, as soon as he got to 400, say, I'm not playing. Because he had enough at-bats to qualify, obviously, without missing missing those games.
Yeah, and this is not beating up on Trout.
No, because this is something he can't control. It's
right.
Right.
But I do think all of that has to be a factor. And I just, he's a great player. I'm fine, and it's just true. All-time great, check. Obviously a Hall of Famer, first ballot, check.
Check, yep.
One of the best to ever do it, check. But best player ever, the injuries and the lack of any postseason success whatsoever consistently, I can't go there. I cannot go there. And so we're on the same page with that, Rob. I think we need to kill that noise for the time being about Mike Trout being, maybe the GOAT baseball player.